Assalamualaikum students. Today we will discuss a very important topic, which is dengue fever, and it is also very important regarding exam point of view. So, what is a dengue fever? In our lecture today, we will discuss the agents, the classic dengue fever, the dengue hemorrhagic fever, its clinical diagnosis, grading of dengue hemorrhagic fever, its lab diagnosis, management, and control measures. It is the commonest arthropod-borne viral infection. Dengue viruses are arboviruses capable of infecting humans and causing disease. These infections may be asymptomatic or may lead to classical dengue fever or dengue hemorrhagic fever with shock and dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock. The classical dengue fever is also known as breakbone fever. The agents includes Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. The Aedes aegypti has 4 serotypes, which includes dengue virus 1, dengue virus 2, dengue virus 3, and dengue virus 4. And the vectors are Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus are the two most important vectors of dengue. They both carry high vectorial competency for dengue virus, that is high susceptibility to infecting virus, ability to replicate the virus, and ability to transmit the virus to another host. The environmental factors. The population of Aedes aegypti fluctuates with rainfall and water storage. Its lifespan is influenced by temperature and humidity. It survives best between 16 to 30 degrees Celsius and a relative humidity of 60 to 80%. It breeds in the containers in and around the houses. Being a domestic breeder, it is endophagic and endophilic. However, even with a 2 degree centigrade increase in temperature, the extrinsic incubation period of dengue virus will be shortened and more infected mosquitoes are available for a longer duration. Besides that, the mosquito will bite more frequently because of dehydration and thus increases man-mosquito contact. The failure of urban authorities to provide civil amenities and poor public health infrastructure raises the potential for the vector to breed at high level and makes the environment transmission conducive. The rural spread of the vector is relatively recent occurrence associated with the development of rural water supply schemes, improved transport systems, and lifestyle changes. The high-risk patients includes the infants and elderly, then obese or obesity, pregnancy, peptic ulcer disease, women who are in menstruation or have abdominal bleeding, hemolytic disease, and thalassemia and other hemoglobinopathies. Then the congenital heart disease, chronic disease such as diabetes, hypertension, asthma, ischemic heart disease, chronic renal failure, and liver cirrhosis in the patients on steroids or NSAID treatment. Now we will discuss the classical dengue fever. It is also known as breakbone fever. We have discussed about the agents, which are Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus, and environmental factor we have also discussed. Yes, the reservoir of infection is man and mosquito. The transmission cycle includes man, mosquito, and man. And Aedes aegypti is the main vector. The incubation period is 3 to 10 days. if we will see the transmission of the disease, then this is the cycle. The Aedes mosquito become infective by feeding on a patient from the day before onset of the 5th day viremia stage of illness. After an extrinsic incubation period of 8 to 10 days, the mosquito become infective and is able to transmit the infection. Once the mosquito become infective, it remains so for life. The genital tract of the mosquitoes get infected and transmission of dengue virus occurs when virus enters fully developed eggs at the time of oviposition. The host factor include age. It can occur in all ages, the sex. It occurs in both sex, males and females. And immunity. Infection with one serotype gives immunity against that serotype and partial protection against others. Now we will discuss the clinical features. The classical dengue fever shows the within 24 hours retroorbital pain, particularly on eye movements or eye pressure. The photophobia develops. The other common symptoms include extreme weakness, anorexia, constipation, altered taste, sensation, colicky pain, and abdominal tenderness, dragging pain in inguinal region, sore throat, and general depression. Fever is usually between 39 Celsius to 40. Fever is typically but not inevitably followed by remission of a few hours to 2 days. The skin eruptions also occur, which are diffuse and then pinpoint eruption on face, neck and chest during the first half of the febrile period, and a conspicuous rash that may be maculopapular or scarlatiform on 3rd or 4th day. It starts on chest and trunk and spreads to extremity and rarely accompanied by itching. Rash lasts for 2 hours to several days and may be followed by desquamation. Now comes the dengue hemorrhagic fever. It is a severe form of dengue fever. It is caused by infections with more than one type of dengue virus. The clinical features includes high-grade fever, headache and anorexia. Vomiting, right costal margin tenderness and generalized abdominal pain. Maculopapular rash is typically less common. The major pathological changes that differentiate it from classical dengue fever are plasma leakage, raised hematocrit value and thrombocytopenia. Criteria for clinical diagnosis of dengue hemorrhagic fever without shock is done clinically. The hemorrhagic manifestations including at least a positive tourniquet test. The standard method using a blood pressure cuff is recommended. In DHS test is usually positive, that is more than 20 petechiae per 1 square inch. Test usually became positive if done after recovery from shock. Now we will discuss the grading of severity of dengue hemorrhagic fever. The classic dengue fever shows fever, headache, retroorbital pain, myalgias, arthralgias and plus minus hemorrhagic manifestations. Whereas in grade 1 dengue hemorrhagic fever there is a thrombocytopenia and hemoconcentration. In grade 2 there is a spontaneous bleeding. In grade 3 the pulse pressure becomes 20 mm mercury, hypotension, cold clammy skin and restlessness. And grade 3 and grade 4 are part of dengue shock syndrome. In grade 4 there is a profound shock, undetectable blood pressure and pulse. Now we will discuss the lab diagnosis. The CBC shows thrombocytopenia. There is a hemoconcentration, that is hematocrit is increased by 20% or more. The management of dengue fever. It is supportive and symptomatic. It includes the bed rest, the antipyretic, paracetamol or sponging. Aspirin should be avoided in dengue fever. Fluid replacement in case of shock. The types of fluid used are crystalloids, 5% dextrose in ringerolactate solution, 5% dextrose in acetated ringer lactate solution, and 5% dextrose in normal saline. The colloidal dextran 40 and plasma, the colloidal fluids are preferred. The control measures are the mosquito control. The mosquito control involves two types, an anti-adult measures and anti-larval measures. Since far there is no vaccine available for the prevention of dengue fever. The control measures includes the mosquito control. The vectors of dengue fever and dengue hemorrhagic fever breed in and around houses, and in principle can be controlled by individual and community action using anti-adult and anti-larval measures. No satisfactory vaccine and no immediate prospect of preventing the disease by immunization. The other measures include the patient under bed nets during the first few days, individual protection against mosquitoes. The personal prophylactic measures are wearing of full sleeve shirts and full pants, use of mosquito repellents, creams, liquids, coils and mats, use of bed nets for sleeping infants and young children during the daytime to prevent mosquito bite. The environmental measures are detection and elimination of mosquito breeding places, management of rooftops and sunshades, proper covering of stored water, and observation of weekly dry day. We have a global strategy for dengue prevention and control from 2012 to 2020. Dengue is a global threat that requires a global response involving all possible partners. The global strategy promotes coordination and collaboration among multi-sectoral partners on integrated vector management approach and sustained control measures at all levels. These goals are to reduce dengue mortality by at least 50% by 2020, to reduce dengue morbidity by at least 25% by 2020, and to estimate the total and the true burden of the disease by 2015. Thank you so much. I have an assignment for you regarding dengue fever. I will share it after I will finish with this lecture. Thank you so much.